All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Select Board meeting. It's Monday, August 5th. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a fairly brief agenda for tonight's meeting. I first grant Westwood Media Center permission to record the meeting. Anyone else wishing to record? Okay, so one item under Chairman's update. As I said 2 weeks ago at our meeting under the Chairman's update, we have the town administrator search process underway. The application deadline is this Thursday, August 8th. So people can still apply and submit their applications to Community Paradigm. The screening committee that we have appointed will come together in mid-August and review all the applications that have been received. They will select a group from the pool of candidates and invite them in for interviews to take place sometime in early September. And after that, the names of finalists will be passed along to this board, and we will conduct public interviews of finalists at a meeting time to be determined in later September. So that's the same schedule we had before, and we continue to be on track. Anyone who remains interested and has not yet applied has until this Thursday to do so. I'm going to take business out of order and go to old business and do a couple of appointments. And as usual, it just bounced me out of the screen. Okay. So we have a couple to do. We'll start with the Pedestrian and Bike Safety Committee. I understand we have Heather Ford with us tonight. Heather, you're welcome to come up if you want to, or you can just, no, that's fine. We won't make this too difficult for you. Heather has expressed interest in joining the Pedestrian and Bike Safety Committee. I understand, Mike, you and others have met with Heather already?
Yes, Abby and I.
Terrific. And we appreciate your interest in stepping forward. How long a resident have you been of Westwood?
On and off for 35 years. I lived in North Shore for a while, and then I went away to college.
And now you're back.
I'm back. Yeah.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
We appreciate your raising your hand to do this. Any questions for Heather?
Nope, thank you.
Motion?
Stepping up, Heather. I move that we appoint Heather Ford to the Pedestrian and Bike Safety Committee for a term to expire June 30th, 20...
This one is just going to go through June 30th, 2019. Is that filling an open spot?
No, it's not right.
Okay.
2 years.
So 2 years, so 2021.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Heather, you're appointed. You can. You'll hear from the town, from Tish, to get a form and bring in and get sworn in with the town clerk.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
All right. The other appointments we're doing tonight are for the Housing Partnership Fair Housing Committee. We have Mike McCusker, who will be reappointed as a resident participant, Chris Paff, a representative from the Planning Board, and Brian Gorman as an alternate member to be appointed to represent the Planning Board. Any questions of these
Nope.
candidates? John, any questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Just find that housing.
That's right at the top of the list.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. I move that we appoint Mike McCusker, Chris Pfaff, and Brian Gorman to the Housing and Partnership Fair Housing Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. All right, let's go back to our scheduled action. Okay, so we have with us tonight Frank McPherson of the Sewer Commission, elected official on the Sewer Commission, and Todd Fortune, our Director of Public Works, here to join the Board of Selectmen. We have 2 openings on the 3-member commission, and as we do with openings for elected boards and select others, we jointly meet. So in this case, Frank, we're happy you could join us.
Glad to be
Thanks for
here.
coming.
And how long have you been on the Sewer Commission?
Oh, maybe 14 or 15 years.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you for doing that in your service to the town. As part of the process, we would like to invite you, Todd, to speak to what the needs are on the sewer commission, since you are the primary staff person that works with the commissioners. Our town is almost entirely sewered. What are we at, 95, 96?
Yeah, we're right around 95%. So,
It's not like we're talking about responsibilities in sewering the town,
Right.
as we were talking about back in the 80s and 90s, when that was the big undertaking, but now it is a lot of capital projects and maintenance. So I would like to turn it over to you and then come back to me, and we'll talk about what we have for candidates and the process we'll do tonight.
Sure. You know, my dealings with the sewer commission over the past 8 to 9 years, a lot of the issues that have come up have been strictly residential issues, from, billing concerns to a little bit of negotiation that went in with the University Ave development. There's been nothing pertaining to pure clear-cut engineering. Like, as you had mentioned, most of the community is sewered. I look at the individuals that have served on the commission for the years that I've been involved, having a great business background, great social skills, really understanding the community, I would say, is probably one of the biggest pieces of this. A level of transparency where the sewer commission it's one of the more important commissions throughout town. They're all very important, but the sewer commission serves as an extremely important commission in my eyes. Definitely being very familiar with the town itself, the infrastructural needs that we have, capital needs, capital demands, understanding the economic strengths that our community is actually in right now, and just really pulling that all together and understanding the level of commitment that they would potentially have to have. I had the good fortune to speak with a few of the candidates, and I explained to them it's not a full-time position by any means, but there have been years where we have met, and Frank can attest to this, 5 to 6 times on the high end. Other years where we've met maybe 3 times. But I do think, like, a real strong business sense, being able to really, have the people skills, social skills. I think those are all important, Frank, and I think you would probably agree.
You're not talking about me.
Yeah, you more than anybody, but you're the last one left. But I don't know, and I've had a great deal of respect, and I think you also have to look at the individuals that have served. Jim Connors was fantastic, Tony Antonellis, Pat for a few days, but everybody that has served on the commission obviously has a tremendous town background. I've had a great level of respect for all that have served, so I do see that as an important check mark to fill too, that we just don't want to make a decision and put someone in a position, especially on the sewer commissioners, where there has been, there are big shoes to fill in my eyes. So,
Anything you want to add, Frank?
So I would say that while we are fairly well sewered in this town, we have a great system that, even the data backs it up, that we're probably one of the best, run towns, and our I&I numbers are way down, and certainly, we've been a board that has been almost unanimous. I think unanimous probably in every decision that I've been involved with, so we tend to look at things all the same way and vet the process out in the meetings and come to, I think, the right decisions. So for me, that's how it's been for the last 12 years, I believe.
I remember attending a meeting when Tony was leaving, and there were issues that pertained to residents. They had a particular issue down off Summer Street or around the bend there, Westchester, and I remember being very sensitive issues for
sure.
the homeowners. I think probably fits in with what you're talking about. Okay, so what we have are 2 openings. We have received resumes from 3 people, 1 with an accompanying letter. We have, I guess, I don't know, Todd, if you want to speak to the candidates. You said you met with them. They aren't here tonight, so maybe that would help inform us on the candidates. We do have their resumes.
Yeah, I've spoken with all 3. I had great conversations with all 3. I think all 3 bring traits and characteristics that would be beneficial to any board or commission in town. I think the bullets that I stated, though, were in the back of my mind as I had the conversations with each of the individuals. I spoke are we naming names or?
Yeah, so let me name them. The applicants are Diane Hayes, Ian Rawlings, and David Krumsick.
So Mrs. Hayes brought, on paper, has a tremendous background. She has experience, a lot of infrastructural experience, great social skills. Again, had a great conversation with her. Mr. Krumsick has a tremendous business background, great social skills, again, very familiar with the town, and has a very high level of respect from a number of individuals in town. And Mr. Rollins, I spoke with as well. Again, has a background, architectural, I believe. I'm trying to pull this off the top of my head with
Tech?
Tech. I'm sorry, tech. So as far as like computer programming, obviously we invested a significant amount of money into our SCADA upgrade. So he could maybe draw some light to, projects that we're investing in from a capital standpoint. So again, all three definitely have their strengths. All three are willing to commit themselves to the commission. I don't,
Well, I'm glad you had a chance to speak with
Yeah.
each one. That's very good.
Madam Chairman, if I may.
Mr. Ahern, former member of the Sewer Commission.
So when you do these appointments, there are two different appointments. There's an appointment to replace Mr. Connors. Whoever's appointed replace Mr. Connors, if they wish to run again in April, will run, and then if they're successful, will serve a remainder of 2 years.
Right.
Whoever you appoint to replace my former position will again have to run again in April, and will then have to run the following April, because my term would have been up at that point in time.
Right.
So there's two different degrees of appointment, and I want you to be aware of that.
Thank you.
Frank, you've spoken with two of the three.
I only had the opportunity to speak to two of them, so Ms. Hayes, I wasn't able to connect with her, so.
Okay. All right.
I did see her resume, though. so.
Would you, Michael, anybody like to comment?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I worked with, I knew her as Diane Hayes, at Boston Water and Sewer for a long time. A very talented person, great leadership skills, was tasked with a host of very complex projects, when in Boston. So she and I reconnected when I moved to Westwood, and she moved around the same time. So I think she will just be really successful, and I think bring a unique perspective, having been in the industry for so long. So, she's someone who I think was hesitant to apply because of the fact that she has to run again. So I really think that, as someone new to the political world, because it is an elected position, I think she'll be a great addition, and you'll find her to be a great addition. But I would propose, or I would move that she be voted upon to succeed Mr. Ahern.
Okay, so we're not taking motions yet, but
Okay.
that's your suggestion? Okay.
You know what, I didn't see, Mike, from the resumes, or how long have they been in town? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I don't know,
I don't know.
obviously,
Mr. Krumsick.
he's been here for a
Yeah,
while,
he's been
obviously.
here.
That I
He
get,
did like
right,
20 years on the zoning board of
I
appeals.
see that. I think it's 15, but yes.
Is it?
After 15, they all seem to blend together anyway, so. But yeah, but for the other two, I had no idea how long
No,
they've been in
John,
town,
do
because
you
Todd
know?
said he thought that, knowledge of the town helped.
I'm pretty sure Diane moved here before me, so I think it's upwards of 13 to 15.
Okay.
That was one of the biggest strengths for Mr. Krumsick. He has that,
Right.
the experience
Prior
of dealing with
service, yeah.
ZBA. He knows,
He
the
has legal
motioning. And
background too,
He has
correct?
Yeah, he's a lawyer, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else anybody wants to add? I
Well, I mean,
only know Hubble by, only briefly, and I don't know Diane, so it's
No, I
great
was just
that,
gonna
it's
say,
great
it's a-
that you do.
it's a good problem to have, that we've
Yeah.
actually had, a number of applicants.
Who's in trouble, Connor?
Me?
No, Mike.
Mike, your microphone is not on. Thank you.
Sitting on it.
We know when Connor comes out, somebody's microphone
Somebody's
has
in
gone
trouble.
loopy. Anything else you want to add then? Any recommendations, or you've just the comments you've made?
I think the comments I've made. I
Okay.
think whatever route the select board decides to go with this, I don't think you're going to miss.
All right, so I think we should do this maybe in a two-step process. We have 2 positions that are open. I think we can take nominees for the 2-year, the position that would replace Jim Connors. So I'll call that the 2-year position. It doesn't mean 2 years. Anybody who gets appointed now would need to run in the spring for either 2 more years or the second one for 1 more year, and then would be up for re-election after that if they so choose. So that's why I'm going to call one position the 2-year position, okay?
Okay.
We'll start with that one. So I will entertain Frank, John, myself, Mike.
Wait,
anybody-
I'm a little confused. So the Jim Connors one is 2 years and the Pat Ahern one is 3 years?
No,
No,
Pat's
one.
one.
No,
Pat's a
everyone-
one and
Oh,
one.
okay.
Everyone has to run in April.
Right,
And then if they run in April and they run for the position that Jim Connors held, they would serve another 2 years after that.
okay.
If they run for the position that I held, they'd have to run in April, and they would only serve another year, and they'd be up for re-election
Okay.
again within 12 months.
So I had it backwards.
Not everybody has to get reelected in,
In
This-
April.
This spring,
Yeah,
yes.
it's
Spring,
not-
everybody does.
It's
Also-
not appropriate for me to call it the 2-year position, but I don't want to call it the people who left their position because they're gone.
Well, no.
So it's everybody has to run again in the spring, including you
My
from
hand's up
this
anyway.
calculation.
Yeah.
And if you ran again and are elected, hopefully you do and you are, you will serve 3 years after that. First person we're going to appoint, if they choose to run in the spring and are elected, they will serve 2 years after that. And then we'll do a motion for the 3rd position. They will run again in the spring. If elected, they will serve 1 year after that. So we're trying, it's staggered terms. It just is a messy process that will put 3 people up for re-election
All right, I'm going to
or
make it
for
worse.
election in the spring.
No matter which ones we appoint, they can still run for the other positions, so it
Yes,
doesn't
they
really
can.
matter.
No, that-
This is true.
that's
Right,
true.
so as we're just appointing 2, one of them is going to have
You know
to
what, that
run 2
actually
years in a
makes
row.
it easier if you look at it that way. It makes it
Right,
easier.
right.
It doesn't,
Because somebody can run for
bind
the
them
extra term.
to
right.
which seat
Not
they
have to
would
They
run
might
for
decide
in
to
the
only run
spring.
for 1
I
year
suppose
or
they could all
run
Run
for
for
two.
one,
for my 3-year
two,
term.
or
or
3.
Correct, right? Yep, they could
Exactly.
even run for his term.
Ideally, people will sort themselves out before they make that complicated, so
you
we
would
don't
hope.
end up with one person elected or
Right.
something. Okay, so that, thank you. That actually simplifies things. We're appointing people here in August. They will serve until
April.
the end of town meeting in May. They will have to be up for election in April if they want to serve after that. Okay.
Okay.
For clarity, clear as mud. I will entertain a motion for candidates to consider for the first of the 2
The
openings.
2-year term.
No,
Doesn't
just,
matter, just
just
the
for the
first one.
first of the openings.
Doesn't matter.
What we just went through is that person can run.
I think it does matter.
No.
It does matter.
Well, it
We have to
does.
designate which seat we're appointing them to.
But they can run for whatever they want
They can.
Right.
in April. They can run for a 1-year opening, they can run for a 2-year opening, or they can run for a 3-year opening.
So we're essentially putting all 3,
Yes,
I don't like
Into the
that.
position.
Nobody,
it is what it is.
Nobody likes it.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I
why
think we should appoint them to a specified period.
We can't. They have to run for election in the spring if they want to continue to serve. That's
We can't.
that's-
No.
You can appoint them to a position. That doesn't bind them to run for that remainder of the term. They're free to run for 3, 2, or 1, whatever they want. And the
They could
town
all run
clerk's
for
gonna
3,
have-
and then
Yeah.
you'd have 2 that would be vacant.
Yeah, I guess we could appoint them to a specific seat that has a remainder. We could. What we're setting up tonight is that all 3 might say, well, I'll run for the 3-year term.
They will not, we cannot appoint somebody tonight to serve for 2 years.
We can appoint someone tonight to serve for 2 years, subject to being reelected in April.
It doesn't work that way.
Why
yeah,
don't you do this? Why don't you fill Connor's position?
Yeah.
And then fill
That's what I'm
Pat's position. Yeah,
trying to
I
do,
know,
but I
yeah.
didn't want to put names on it because it's
think
not
you
our,
can-
we don't own the seat when we're gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I nominate Diane Hayes for the seat vacated by Jim Connors.
Okay, anybody want to make any other nominations?
I nominate David. Krumsiak, is that how you say his name?
Mm-hmm.
For the seat as well.
Frank, would you like to make any nomination?
Well, I was kind of thinking I'd like to second David's name, because I think of the three, I think he would bring the most to the
Seconds.
board, so I guess I'd start with that and
Okay.
put him into
Anybody-
a seat.
I'm not opposed to either candidate, but I think we can let this go. That's the first second. I mean, I'll second Diane. It will make it more complicated, but I think let's consider both.
Yeah, I was just hoping, we had a non-traditional candidate who's a professional engineer serving on the
We-
sewer commission. We would do our best to,
You've made that clear.
Give her a leg
So
up.
we have two people.
guess we can't do that.
We have two people that have been moved and seconded. Okay, so now each one of us gets a vote. We will do it individually. I will start with you, Frank.
I would vote for David.
Okay?
I would
John?
vote for Diane.
Okay, I'll vote for David.
I'll vote for David.
Okay, so first seat filled by David. Second round, nominations. Would you like to start?
No.
You don't want to, we still have an opening.
I'm
You don't
not-
want Diane to be considered again?
I'm so confused what we're doing. I nominated Diane Hayes for the 2-year position. That's where I am.
I'll
That
sec-
motion is not in order. We are only nominating for the period of time to end at the end of town meeting in May.
I'll pass. I have no further motions.
Okay, I'll move that we appoint Diane to a period of time ending with town meeting in May 2020.
I'll second.
I would nominate Ian. As Todd said earlier, I kind of find it interesting that maybe get an IT person on the board. Nothing against
Okay,
having another engineer on the
you
board.
want to second that?
No.
Okay, so let's take a vote. There's no second to your motion. We have Dave, so
So we have one vote?
we have one person we're voting for. Would you like to vote first?
Yes, I would
Vote
vote
for
her.
Diane?
Diane, yes.
John?
Diane.
I'll vote for Diane.
It's unanimous.
Okay.
But,
As-
but what is unanimous? I guess I'm curious about the symbolism of this. So did we appoint Dave to the 2-year term? Or
You
are
appointed
they
Dave-
equal terms?
you
Fill the
appointed-
Connors
You appointed
vacancy.
Dave to take Jim's vacancy until April, at which time he is free to run for any of the 3 positions if he so chooses. If he chooses to run for Jim Connor's old position, then he would have 2 years remainder on that term.
And do they appear as incumbents on the ballot?
Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
I believe they do.
yes.
So everybody will be on a level playing field in that all of you will have your terms expire as of
I
town
guess there's a
meeting.
possibility all 3 might say, let's go for the 3-year term, so we have to
Exactly.
try to.
Right, I know.
Or
but
the
we
better
can't-
way to do it
We
would
can't
be to
stop that.
have-
That's why I said I hope people would sort themselves out.
Right.
We can't prevent that.
Right. But they can have a conversation about which terms they'd like to
Correct?
fill.
They can, and they can strategize how they see fit, what they think gives them their best chance at election.
Yeah, I just think it's discouraging.
We can't do it any other way.
We could have nominated Diane for the Jim Connors seat. You're forcing them to now position themselves in,
Okay.
in weaker positions.
No, they're all equal.
They're not all equal. They're not all equal.
What would be different?
One would be running for a 1-year seat.
By choice, they can choose which one they want to run for.
Right, but then they have to run against an incumbent. You're forcing them to run against each other.
Okay, now I'm confused.
You can't stop that by law, John.
It's the positioning, Michael. It's the perspective.
You just can't
No, I know.
change
Okay,
it.
okay.
Can anybody try? I don't like you having this feeling that there was something done that was inequitable to the candidates, and
The
that's not a
positions
good thing to
thems-
walk away with.
The positions themselves have some degree of inequity. But that's, you don't have any choice in that matter. That's what
Right.
the hand you've been dealt.
But what I'm saying is we picked, someone who's been around town, involved in politics for a long time, and gave them the better of the seats.
No, they're all,
They're no
they're-
better.
They're not,
there's
though. They're
no
better.
different. There's no difference.
So that's where we disagree. We just disagree. You gave the inside baseball player the seat with the remainder of 2 years. We had a registered professional engineer. We put her in a seat with the remainder of 1 year.
Okay.
And you're saying that anybody can run. Anybody could run. 10 people could run.
Correct.
But the incumbents now are in different positions.
No,
that's where we disagree.
Anybody, one more time, because that's not the way I want to leave it.
We can only
It's
appoint,
not that
John, we
way.
can only appoint till the end of till election
when
day.
you-
That's
But
all
we
we can
appointed
appoint
to
to.
specific seats, Michael. We
We
appointed
We
to
cannot
specific seats.
appoint to specific seats. We can only
No, we
appoint
did.
to the 2 open slots.
We
How they
appointed
choose
the
to
two
run
open slots. How they choose to run in the spring is up to them.
to them. Right, it's not up
But
to
when you,
us.
when you pull out your papers, though, you're taking it out for a seat, right? So
Correct.
That's
I would
correct.
be taking it out for my 3-year seat, and
Correct.
they could come into the town hall and take out the same nominations for the same 3-year seat. So
Correct.
we can't like.
Or if they don't want to offend their colleague, right, they'll stay in their current spot.
But we don't redistribute prior to the nomination papers getting
Right,
filed.
so if Diane chooses to run again, she'll be, for her own spot, she'll have to run for the 1. Dave, we gave the 2 to tonight. So all I'm saying is we positioned them, I think, unequally.
Okay.
But I
I'm glad
lost.
to say.
It's okay.
No, I'm glad to say I don't agree. I think they're positioned equally, and hopefully it works out great, and they would like to stay on, and we appreciate them coming in. So the conclusion is that we have David Krumsick and Diane Hayes both appointed. Tish, I think you reach out to them and let them know. And we thank Ian for stepping up. There are only 2 seats, 3 people, so that's the way the discussion resolves itself on that. And we'll move on to the Westwood Environmental Action Committee bylaws revision. Thank you,
Thank you, Todd.
gentlemen.
Thank you,
Frank,
gentlemen.
thank you for joining us.
Give you a time.
The vote was the motion.
It's nice to see you all.
Yes,
And we had
got
individual.
individual votes, right, yes.
Roll call votes.
Okay, thank you. Please come forward. How are you, Steve?
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we have a request from the Westwood Environmental Action Committee to update its bylaws. I understand you had a meeting, and why don't you tell us the outcome of the meeting, if a vote was taken or how you handled it, and what the recommendations are before us.
Sure. Yep, we did take a vote after reviewing the bylaws. And then what we recommended, a couple of them are pretty much housekeeping. We realized that the page numbers are inaccurate, so it's one small change there. And then the other housekeeping one is changing several references to Board of Selectmen to Select Board. And then there are 3 that are of more substance. One clarifies what a positive vote entails. I think the wording was simple majority of members appointed. So we thought we would clarify that to simple majority of the members present at the meeting. There was no language in there about how many terms an officer could serve. So we did just re-elect officers, and we thought it might be prudent to say that an officer can serve no more than 2 consecutive terms. And then the third one was around membership. And we would like to increase to a allowable maximum of 9 members. We found that because of some of our recent work, especially around the May Bring Your Own Bag Month and the community electricity aggregation, we've sort of seen an uptick in interest in the committee. So we have more people who are interested in serving, and we also have found that we have had a pretty active year.
Yes,
And
more to do.
there's a lot of work to do. So and people are on this committee, as you know, on any committee in town because they're busy and motivated people. But it does mean that there are times where it can be difficult to do all the work that we need to do outside of meetings. So we thought it would be, we would like to have 9 members total possible.
Okay. So the one that is, to me, most substantive is if we go to 9 members and a meeting can be held by a majority of the board, so that means 5, when you have a vote, the majority of those present would be 3. So that's the way the numbers work. So you could have a meeting of just 5 people. You couldn't have a quorum. If
Right.
you have 4 people, so there could be no voting.
Right.
If you have a meeting scheduled, you have 5 people turn out, you can have the meeting, and you can have any voting if you do, like a voting for bringing this forward.
Sure.
So it's down to 3 people. I just want to make sure that that is the intention of what you and the committee considered.
Yes, I think that's accurate.
Okay.
Yep.
Because you realize that that means only a third can pass stuff.
Right.
Sure.
A third of the meeting now, a third of the members could pass,
Sure.
3 to 2.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
No, and I think that I would say that, there could be times, I suppose, if you had a full membership of 9, I suppose there could be times where you have 5 at the meeting, as you said, and you're right, yeah, 3 then would be able to pass something.
But again, I think when you pass something, it's more you're recommending something that's coming to us. You're a
Right.
committee appointed by the select board, so like this, you can't just change your bylaws.
Right.
You need to come to us if you wanted to host a particular day event or something. It would come through us, so I think there's a check and balance there.
There is. Voting is often pretty benign things like voting on the minutes.
Yeah,
Approving
Fair
minutes. So yeah, you're right. We don't have any real power to make any changes on our own. But yeah, I would hope that with the people we have who are interested, that if we did have 9 members, that the meetings would have more than 5 people there in
Right.
general. But you're right, that could happen.
practically, yeah, they probably would, but any comments on that? Pat, do you
No,
see
I-
it differently in terms of assessing the numbers?
I do not. I looked through it. I don't have any concerns.
John, did you have any questions?
I don't.
Michael, do you have any
No,
questions?
I don't, I read through them.
Okay, so I wanted to just make that perfectly clear. I think what you've recommended, since there are really not other questions, makes sense. I don't think there are any issues with it. So let me re-summarize, and then if you would make
Yeah.
a motion after that. So you said the adjustments are to page numbers for consistency, changing Board of Selectmen to Select Board where applicable, increasing the number of members on the committee to 9, having officers serve no more than 2 consecutive terms of terms are 1 year.
Yes, exactly.
And lastly, that voting can be conducted with a majority of members present, and a majority of those present constitutes a vote in favor. Right?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yep,
Okay.
you got it. Thank you.
So I move that we approve the amendments to the bylaws for the Westwood Environmental Action Committee as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay. Thank you very much for coming in. Thanks
Thank you so
for
much.
Thank you.
presenting that to us. Okay, next up, we have the Colburn School. So, are you Jonathan?
Yes.
Hi,
good evening.
Jonathan.
Hi, how are
Welcome,
you?
Jonathan Kaufman.
Yes.
We have you in the hot seat because those things in front of you are microphones.
hot,
They pick
excellent.
up for the viewing audience and for the recording. Okay, so we have a discussion about Colburn School before us, requesting that we make a change in the parking easement. This is prompted by the residential units, the 6 residential units being converted from rental to condominiums. And the essence is that we are being requested to make changes so that there can be 1 space specifically assigned to each unit. And while we're doing it, we're also asking for clear delineation of shared spaces, in particular, the spaces that are close to the Colburn School that would not be assigned, and the spaces that are, when you drive straight in past the library, abutting the field straight in, not off to the left, not the left turn at that, correct? So those are the 3,
Right, well, it's a little bit to the left.
a
but
little
yeah.
bit to the left. Well, there's a dumpster there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's on
And,
the left-hand side of the dumpster.
Yeah, I
Left
was
of the
looking at,
crosswalk, yeah.
I was looking at the,
Yeah.
right, okay, it's those right up
And
there,
it
right?
should be blown up. No, there's some in red, there you go.
Yeah, there it
There you
is.
go.
Yeah. Oh, I see, okay, because there are some further
Yes.
to the right. I get it. So they're essentially straight down when you enter the library drive, just past the library, they're straight ahead. And there are 10 spaces shared there, and looks like 5 shared behind the Colburn building.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's, your request is really the one-to-one assignment, and we're asking at the same time to have there be clear delineation of the shared that changes it from
That-
before.
Right.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Jonathan, to this?
Not at this time. I think you summarized it.
Okay. How long has the Colburn been in
We've
operation?
managed it for
now?
just over 5 years now.
Just over 5 years. I was going to suggest that maybe you've already got it scheduled. The building looks like it needs a painting soon.
We do, actually. We don't have it scheduled yet, but we agree with you that
Yeah.
the outside does, particularly the roof on the
Right.
on the
It gets,
backside.
that's where it gets hit with the
Could, yeah,
sun and,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the southern exposure does get hit
I
with
mean,
the sun the most.
It turned out beautifully, but yeah, that's noticeable. Any questions for Jonathan regarding
No
this
additional
request?
signage or anything, right?
No, not at the time.
This is all
Not at
just-
this time. If it becomes a problem, then maybe, but that would be
Well, how
down
would
the line.
how would people know what's shared?
They're going to tell the people that are
Living
using
there.
Oh,
yeah.
It's been suggested that when we restripe, perhaps we number the
Spots.
residential spaces on.
Behind the building.
Right,
I'm talking
that's
about
behind
in the
the building.
library.
Shared
They're
spot-
talking about the
spots?
library.
We're
We're not going to put up signs, but we're going to you're going to identify that to your clients, the people that are going to be renting from you in the
No,
bank.
owning?
Owning, yeah.
Owning.
Owning, okay. And that's right, owning. And, well, renting for a while and owning ultimately. And that's how it's going to be worked out. If there becomes a problem, then we'll come back and say, okay, we need to do some signage. But we don't anticipate that.
So, Madam Chairman, point of order. The last time we did this, you authorized the town administrator to sign the contract, so the vote should be similar for this.
Okay.
Okay. You don't have any other questions?
No, I'm good.
All right, so I will take a motion,
Okay.
please.
I move that we approve and authorize the town administrator to sign the First Amendment to the Declaration of Reciprocal Easement and Rights for the Colburn School to allow for a deeded parking spot for 6 rental units being converted to condominium units.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. And should we have a separate motion just regarding our understanding about the shared parking spaces? It's not in the agreement, is it?
It's
Yes, it is
referenced in the
in the
agreement as an
Okay.
exhibit,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
So I don't think you need a separate.
Yeah, okay, I don't
Okay.
think we do either,
Nope.
thank you. All right, Jonathan, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
You have the vote from us that you need, and good luck
Luck.
with the sale of the units.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Have a good
great,
evening.
take care.
All right, Jonathan.
All right. Now we will discuss Good Energy, the service agreement for community electricity aggregation. So at our meeting 2 weeks ago, we discussed an agreement that was presented to us to enter into contract with Good Energy, who would provide consulting services regarding the design, implementation, and ongoing monitoring of a community electricity aggregation plan, and that would lead to bringing a proposed aggregation plan back to us for our consideration. I had some questions regarding some elements of the contract, and it looks like the new draft has taken care of addressing those. Previously, it had said something about going back to citizen voters for approval, and that wasn't required. So it now reads, assist the advisory committee with presenting the plan to the community for comments, revising the plan as needed, and presenting the plan and comments received to the select board for approval, and that's consistent with the town meeting vote. And the second item that we asked to be addressed, determine the number and identity of customers who did not affirmatively decline to participate in the aggregation program. That just didn't make sense. Now it reads, provide a monthly report to the municipality that provides the following information for the past month and cumulatively for the aggregation period, or for the aggregation. A, the total usage, I won't read all the details. B, the total number of accounts in each rate. C, the total number of opt-out, opt-in. D, cost savings achieved. E, applicable summary information about additionality criteria. And F, other criteria the municipality requests as relevant, which is open-ended for our benefit. So those are the two changes. Any questions regarding this at this?
No.
Okay. Motion?
I move that we authorize the town administrator to sign the services agreement with Good Energy LP to provide consulting services for the design, implementation, and ongoing monitoring of the community electricity aggregation plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. All right. And we are moving
Point
right
of
along.
order, it's actually you three folks are going to sign it.
And not the town administrator?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it said? Thank you, Pat.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take a new motion
new motion.
to delete the prior one and replace with.
Let's see. Well, let me think about this for a second.
But this is signing the agreement.
Signing the agreement,
Can't they,
right?
Yeah, you can assign.
Mike can
You can
sign
assign
this
it if
agreement
you
for
want.
us.
Yeah, right.
That's what you choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this agreement, but not the agreement, the ultimate agreement for who we
That's-
go with. That
that's-
comes
that's-
back
That
to
comes out of
us.
Yeah.
us. This is
That's
just to
the-
engage.
Probably okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
If the other side has concerns about it,
We'll come back.
we'll let you know.
Okay.
All right. And I just want to note before we move on from this item, Mike has put together a working group, and the members include Maria Constantini, Juliana Belding, Peter Kane, Julie Bride, and Jack Wigan. So thank you for doing that, Mike, and you guys can all get to work, whoever's participating. All right, approval of minutes. What minutes we've got the dates here. We have, you had sent to us May 20th, June 3rd, and June 24th.
Correct.
We never got July 22nd.
No, not yet.
Okay.
For next meeting. Small amendments that you put through,
Yeah,
so
here's a copy, Jim.
just the
Thank
red
you.
line, small amendments. Mostly grammatical, right?
Yes, mostly grammatical. And a question, so you took care of one just by deleting it. All right, so we have May 20th. Let's start with that one and see if anybody has any further changes.
You know what? You have May 20th? Okay. Yeah.
That's it?
Never mind. Talking to myself.
Okay.
Which one with the red line?
Okay. All right. I'm all set on the May 20th.
John, are you all set with that?
I'm all set.
Okay.
Okay, I move that we approve the Select Board minutes for the meeting of May 20th, 2019, as revised.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none? All right, June 3rd.
Okay, I'm all set.
John, you okay?
Yep.
I move that we approve the June 3rd Select Board minutes as revised.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none? And lastly, June 24th.
I move that we approve the Select Board minutes of June 24th, 2019, as revised.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Okay, so we're almost caught up on minutes. Let's see, any other business that may come before the board? Mike, at the next meeting, can we be sure to talk about town meeting,
Yes.
right? And not that we would take any action then, if we're going to take action. And the action we would take is, we would potentially opt out. We have a town meeting scheduled, so it's us to decide if we want to.
Yeah, what I'll
Cancel
do
it.
is I'll canvass the departments and see if there are any articles that are necessary to bring forward for a town meeting, and then report on what I have.
So
assembled.
we can do that in August, and then we'll come back in September.
Yeah,
I think the 15th is the deadline.
15th is the deadline
opt
for
out?
you to opt out. Yes.
Okay. Any other business? Anybody?
Nope.
Public and press? Nothing tonight. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 26th, here in the police station in the training room. We will be here at 7:30. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you.